Hey all, here's my first Winterial vid, the Scions Conversion Winterial. Okay, so what you need is basically very simple. You need the Bolter Scouts box set, Acadian Command Squad, and maybe a squad of Acadian troops. So you need the body, the bolter arms, one spare lasgun without the arm, and also the head of the scouts. One very important part will be this respiratory pack from the Acadian Command Squad sprue. So let's start with making the head and the gun ammo first, shall we? The head is actually pretty simple to make. As you can see right here, I actually use the mouthpiece from the respiratory pack from the Acadian Command Squad sprue. You just have to remove the cord from the respiratory pack and you get a mouthpiece and also a piece of a box piece that actually resembles a technological box from the near future. So here's actually a close-up image which is much clearer than the video. Similar to the head, as the technological box from the respiratory pack which I mentioned earlier will be added to the bolter as the ammo piece. As you can see, I removed the proper ammo that is supposed to be at the bolter and I replace it with this box to make it look like it's actually a much more sophisticated piece of equipment ammo. So here's actually a better shot at it. Let's go on with making the hotshot lasgun, the main gun which Scions uses. At this point, the video is a little bit blurred, so hopefully the pictures after this will actually be more clearer to you. So we take a spare lasgun and we actually cut it right before the ammo pack of the lasgun. As you can see at this point, the cutting has taken place and is a little bit off as it's not straight. So at this point, if it's possible, you take your sharp knife and start trimming it down. But do not trim it too much as we need this length for the gun. As the trimming takes place, do remember to also prepare your glue for the gluing of the lasgun onto the bolter to make it into a hotshot lasgun. After dry fitting the lasgun onto the bolter, you add a dip of glue and you glue the lasgun onto the front of the bolter. One thing which I forgot to mention was that the front bolter area was actually removed. The nozzle was removed except for the piece of rectangular part below it. Always remember to dry fit the piece to ensure that it fits perfectly at the bolter. Although it may be just a little bit off, which is what I usually get, but it's actually much better than having one piece that is slanted 45 degrees to the side. At this point in time, after dry fitting, I take my favorite glue, zap a gap, which is not so clearly shown here, to glue the lasgun onto the bolter. I apologize for the lack of footage at this point, but I was still trimming the lasgun as I realized that it wasn't a very good fit and there were a lot of gaps in the middle. After finally finishing the last part of the trimming, I managed to glue it on. When gluing on the lasgun to the bolter, ensure that the scope area of the lasgun is actually close and properly fitted with no gaps to the front scope area of the bolter. Also make sure that the top of the lasgun is actually straight with the bolter at the top and at its sides. As you can see, I held onto the lasgun as I glue it onto the bolter to ensure that it is the desired place that I want it to be at until it is dry. As mentioned earlier, the lasgun has to be straight at the top and at the side. So at this image, it actually shows that the lasgun is actually quite straight to the sides of it. And from this angle, you can see the scope lined accordingly to the bolter. As I leave the hotshot lasgun aside to dry, I will show you another completed one which I've done beforehand. Although it's a little bit blur, I believe you can make out the straight sides and the top of the lasgun to the bolter and how the scope is aligned to the bolter. Thank you all for watching. Check out my blog in the link below. Subscribe, like and comment on this vid. Thank you.